Hello everyone and welcome to LEGO Star Wars Hot Takes episode 25. As always, if you have any controversial opinions or hot takes about LEGO Star Wars, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Hopping right into it, this first one comes from Mockworks. He says, hot take, I think the old Super Battle Droid looks better. I'm glad they're bringing them back, but honestly I wish they didn't change them. I get making them stronger, but I like the design of the older ones. Now I think we're just gonna have to agree to disagree here because I mean to his their own. I personally think the new Super Battle Droids look a lot better than the older ones, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. The arms and legs are relatively the same, however the torso mold looks so much better. It's a lot sleeker and a lot more defined, and I think LEGO just did a nice job with the upgrade. But if you think the old ones are better, that's your opinion, and who am I to judge? Omar Baba says, hot take, people who say we need to be grateful to LEGO are beyond obnoxious. It's a multi-billion-dollar company and they couldn't care less, so stop acting like we have to be grateful for them making products that they want us to buy and often overcharge for. Now you are right to an extent. I don't think we need to like sort of petty LEGO and be like, oh, they did the best they could, because I mean they are a multi-billion-dollar company like you said, and you said they couldn't care less, and that's true as well. I mean, it's not like they're gonna get their feelings hurt when we don't like their products. However, they do care what we think, actually a lot more than you think they do, and I think that is something that we need to be grateful for, that a multi-billion-dollar company actually cares about its fans, or at least they say they do. In Solid Brick Studios' interview with him that he posted a few months ago, the designers did say that they do care about what the fans want and that they often have meetings about it and that they know there is high demand for specific sets. And some people might think they're lying, but I don't think they are. And this is very evident by the large amount of Clone Wars sets we are getting now. I know there's been a lot of people that have gotten into the community since 2020 or 2021 and since, and they've seen how many Clone Wars sets that LEGO has been giving us recently and they think that's the norm. But if you were in the community before that, you know that that is not the norm at all. And sort of what I like to call the dark age of LEGO Star Wars, which is like 2017 to 2019, we were absolutely begging LEGO to give us more Clone Wars sets because at the time we were just getting original trilogy sets and sequel sets. And then MNR's whole scandal with the 501st Battle Pack sort of started a new era where LEGO started giving us more Clone Wars sets, and they realized what the fans wanted and they delivered to us. And I think that's a good thing that we need to acknowledge, as they are a multi-billion-dollar company and they didn't have to do that. However, it has been 4 years since then, and we have been getting a lot of Clone Wars sets. I actually think LEGO kind of overdid it in a way. I feel like they didn't execute it in the best way possible because since they realized that fans wanted more Clone Wars sets, they gave us basically only Clone Wars sets. And now people are sort of starting to get tired of them and there's lots of controversies around them, which is kind of off topic. However, I feel like all of the controversy is why you're commenting this. And I'm just saying that nowadays LEGO claims they care about what the fans want, and I think that's true to the extent, again, with the massive amount of Clone Wars sets we've been getting since 2020, when before that we were begging for Clone Wars sets every year and we just got sequel sets and original trilogy. So yes, I think it's obnoxious to baby LEGO when they make a drastic mistake on a set because they are a multi-billion-dollar company. However, I do think we need to be grateful for the fact that they know what we want and they're at least trying to deliver. I don't think they're doing it in the best way possible, but at least they're acknowledging it, and I think that's good for a big company. This next one comes from Colby Insminger, I guess that's how you say your name. He says, hot take, even rare minifigures are still just pieces of plastic. I sold my Phase 1 Captain Rex for money towards Rivendell, and it was the best deal I ever took. In other words, I still just saw Captain Rex as 7 or so small bits of plastic that served as a key for 1/4 a much bigger and better value. Only 2 pieces of that figure were even truly unique. I mean, obviously LEGO is just plastic, but you can say this about anything that's valuable pretty much. I mean, valuable sports cards and Pokemon cards are just cards that are made from paper. Valuable shoes are just shoes made from nothing different than any other shoes. I mean, if that's just how you want to look at it, I guess you just won't understand why it's valuable. I mean, that's sort of an outsider's perspective. However, it's valuable because it's hard to come by and there's a huge demand for it. But I mean, if you just want to dumb it down and say, oh, it's just plastic, you can do that if you want, but I don't think that's a valid argument at all, especially considering that you can do that with literally anything that's rare and valuable. G-Brick says, hot take, the mechs are better than the old Planet sets. Now, I like the mechs and I actually like them more than microfighters. However, I think this is taking it too far. Out of this category of sort of like small collecting sets that are cheap and include one minifigure like mechs, microfighters, or Planet sets, I think the Planet sets are the best, and I think a lot of other people agree with that as well. They really are some of the most unique Star Wars sets that LEGO has ever produced, and all of those exclusive printed Planet pieces look really cool. And honestly, I think it's kind of disrespectful to say that mechs or microfighters are better than them, but that's just my opinion. James Arnold says, says, hot take, the designs for lots of the sequel vehicles are better than their original trilogy counterparts, particularly Poe's Black X-Wing, Kylo's TIE Fighter, and the Last Jedi AT-AT thing. The films obviously aren't as good, but as LEGO models, I prefer the sequel trilogy designs. And you guys know I'm a certified sequel hater, however, I have to agree. I don't think all of them are better, however, the ones that are recolored, like the X-Wing or the Y-Wing or the A-Wing, look really cool to me. Like you've mentioned, Poe's X-Wing fighter, or even the gray and blue Resistance X-Wing fighter, and I also think the Resistance A-Wing has a really cool color scheme as well. And then on top of that, you mentioned the ATM-6, and yes, the ATM-6 is probably my favorite sequel set, and it's one of my favorite sets in my collection. I think that thing is awesome. So yes, I agree with you. Despite the movies that these sets are from being absolutely terrible, they did have some really cool vehicles. Continuing on the trend of sequel sets being better than OT sets, Captain Vaughn says, hot take, despite being a sequel set, in my opinion, the First Order TIE Fighter is the best TIE Fighter model LEGO has ever made, and I really like the red cockpit and also the pilot suit. And besides, it's the only pilot to receive the physical oxygen tubes in the helmet. And yes, like the last guy, I hate to admit this, but I agree as well. The First Order TIE Fighter is another one of my favorite sequel sets. I think the colorway and the double cockpit design is just much more intriguing than normal TIE Fighters, and like you mentioned, the pilots do look really awesome as well, especially their oxygen tubes. This last one comes from Korthos. He says, here's a hot take. For LEGO Star Wars, the quality for minifigures keeps going up versus the vehicle builds, which progressively get smaller and less detailed. Also, stud shooters suck. LEGO, please stop making them. And I've seen a few people say this before, and I disagree. Really, the only two that were downsized was the T6 Jedi Shuttle and the Coruscant Guard gunship. Off the top of my head, I honestly can't really think about any other ones that have been downsized significantly. Everyone just focuses on those two. And yes, like most people, I don't like that they've been downsized. However, they're definitely not getting less detailed. In fact, the sets released in 2023 were some of the most detailed LEGO Star Wars sets I've ever seen. The builds have gotten a lot better and a lot more structurally sound, and the detail is noticeably better, and it's really nice. Especially on the Coruscant Guard gunship, I think there's a lot of details on that go unnoticed because everyone complains about it being downsized. For example, like most of the shaping, and then one of my favorite parts about it is the white stripes on the back, and the Jedi Shuttle is detailed as well, despite the bottom half just being gray panels. And those are just the sets that have been downsized. The sets that haven't been downsized, well, are still very detailed. The best example is the Ghost that released this year. That set is absolutely incredible. It is leagues and leagues ahead of the 2014 Ghost. It's literally better in every single way. Other good examples are like the E-Wing and Shin Hati Starfighter set, or the TIE Interceptor versus Mandalorian Fang Fighter. All the sets I just mentioned have incredibly detailed builds, and really the only two that were actually downsized was the Jedi Shuttle and the Coruscant Guard gunship, and even those two sets still have pretty detailed builds. So I have to say I disagree with you. Anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the screen right now.